might be starting your first full-time job, or you might just be stepping into a new role. But either way, if you clicked on this video, I can tell that you care about two things: maintaining a good work-life balance and making a good impression at work. Maintaining a work-life balance is a subject that's coming more and more into the limelight recently, as younger generations care more about their time rather than large sums of money. Now, if you identify as a high achiever, I'm sure that you've run into the same situation that I have in my first year on the workforce, which is you want to maintain your work-life balance, but you are worried about the impression that will make on your coworkers and your boss. And I'm sure that you're thinking, is this even possible? How do I maintain a work-life balance while making a good impression? In today's video, I'm going to go over some of the best advice and lessons that I have gained over the past year of working that helped me to maintain my work-life balance while still making a positive impression on my boss and team leadership. To get the most out of this video, I highly recommend watching it all the way through, as I'll kind of be alternating between the two ideas, which are again going to be maintaining work-life balance and then making a good impression. So watch it all the way through. That's going to be how you get the most out of this video and get to see all the different tips that I have. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tyler. I go by the Mengineer, and I'm here to help you engineer your life. On this channel, I like to discuss topics around 6 main categories that I feel are imperative to helping people vastly improve the quality of their life. If you're interested in improving your confidence, your capabilities, and just your overall quality of life, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. You won't regret it, and it's a huge help to the channel. But now that we've got that covered, let's go ahead and jump into the video. First thing that I want to talk about is make sure that you get crystal clear on your personal boundaries. What are those boundaries for you? For example, let's say you don't want to work past 7 if you work like a normal 9 to 5. But then when the time comes and their boss asks them to do it, even though they really don't want to do it and it's interfering with their life, they still say okay because they're worried about what their boss might think. That is not what you want to do. Take some time, sit down with yourself, and get crystal clear about the boundaries that you want to set. Say, what am I willing to do versus what am I willing not to do? In what circumstances am I willing to step up and be the person that takes over if it's needed, and when am I not? Try to think of as many different situations as you can. What if you were asked to do shift work? What if you were asked to do overtime? What if you were asked to step away from vacation? These are all common scenarios in the workforce, and you need to get clear on your personal boundaries and how you would personally want to respond to them. That way, when the time comes, you'll be ready and you'll be able to answer with confidence. When it comes to setting those boundaries and kind of being wishy-washy on them, the more that you break those boundaries and you do kind of like this extraneous work, the more that work will be expected from you. So that's something to be realistic about, is the more that you go above and beyond and go kind of outside these normal areas, the more that will be expected from you. And you need to be realistic with yourself as to whether or not you feel like that is something that you could regularly do. Additionally, something to keep in mind here is that everyone's life circumstances are different. You should not judge your coworkers for the personal boundaries that they set as well. And also, don't be afraid of what your coworkers would think. Your life is different from their life, and they might be able to take on different circumstances than you will, and vice versa. Now let's step into the side of how to make an impression at work. My number one tip with this is do efficient and quality work. There's a few ways to go about doing this, but when you're at work, make sure that you're focusing on work. If you need to take a break, maybe take a quick walk if that's something that your company can do. But don't be playing around on your phone and letting your boss and coworkers see you do that, because that makes an impression. If you're at work and you're goofing off, your management and your team leads will see that. And even if that's the general culture of your company, your management notices the people who go above and beyond and focus on doing their work. If you're working on a team and you feel like your work is being lost and that it's not being noticed, I also have a few tips in regards to that. Make sure on a day-to-day basis that you're tracking your tasks, and if you're unable to finish them, make sure that you're tracking why. That way, if your management comes to you and wants to have a conversation about like what you have and haven't done, you have a list that you've been keeping track of, so you can provide an accurate idea of what you've been able to do versus what you haven't been able to do and why. A boss tends to be more respectful of employees that they view as high value. So if you have boundaries that your boss is kind of not the happiest about, but you are a high value employee, they're more likely to respect those versus someone else who's goofing off and not really doing the best quality work. One of the most efficient ways that you can improve your life is by smashing that like button. I know I just kind of had to throw it in there. It's a bit goofy, but it really does help out the channel and spread the word to other people. So if you could do that, that would be great. But now we'll hop back into the video. Going back to establishing work-life balance. When it comes to establishing your boundaries, be honest, but don't be too honest. What do I mean by that? Let's say that an extraneous circumstance comes up and your boss asks you to cover it, but you've been having a really hard time and felt really stressed at work lately, and so you say no. Your management is likely going to push back and ask you, well, why not? When it comes to this, do not cite work-life balance as your reason why. It makes it appear like you don't value the company and that you don't care about the company's need, which can kind of reflect poorly on management. Instead, I advise giving general answers that are truthful but not specific. For example, let's say that you had previous plans. All you have to say is, I had a prior commitment and I cannot reschedule it. If they try to push further than that, you can say that you're not really comfortable sharing what that is. Another common area that comes up is when people request vacation. They go on vacation and then management inevitably calls them or emails them asking for them to hop on and do some extra work. If you're requesting to go on vacation, never explain to your boss what it is that you're planning to do. If you're taking vacation and you're planning on just taking a local trip in the area, do not tell your management that. Because if they feel like you are in the area and available and an emergency comes up, they will be contacting you and they will be asking you to leave your vacation early. Again, this kind of comes down to what are your personal boundaries, what are you willing to do and not willing to do, but I highly advise not elaborating on what your vacation plans are. That way, your management will typically assume that you're not available. Make sure that if you have a way of showing your status to your job, that you set it to be offline while you're away. That way you don't have people trying to contact you, and don't get me wrong, people will still send you messages, but if you're reading as offline, they're less likely to expect a response from you. And finally, here's my biggest tip when it comes to making an impression on your coworkers and your management. Establish regular meetings with your leadership. That could be something as simple as a 30-minute one-on-one every couple of weeks, but try to establish something that is regular. This gives you the opportunity to demonstrate to your leadership that you are interested in continuing to make sure that you provide value and do good work for the company. For these meetings, you should try to establish an agenda where you talk about different points. What I would personally recommend going over is what are some of the big goals or tasks that you have accomplished? Also, where do you feel your weaknesses are, and what are some personal goals that you have? When discussing these things, ask for honest feedback from your management and stress that you want honest feedback. By demonstrating that you want to be able to take what your management is saying into account and work towards it, you're demonstrating that you are coachable, which is highly attractive to leadership and can help lead to other opportunities further down the road. Try to ask how to make your future goals align with those of the company. If you can show that you're interested in aligning not only your own improvement, but also the improvement of the company, management will be highly interested in that because they won't view you as just someone who's trying to improve themselves so they could potentially go to somewhere else, but they'll view you as someone who's genuinely interested in seeing the improvement of the company and will work towards that. In these meetings, never, ever tear down your coworkers in order to build yourself up. It doesn't matter how true it is. It doesn't matter if your coworker is always on Facebook and always messaging people and is never getting their tasks done. Do not bring that up and try to tear them down in order to make yourself look better. All that does is make management feel like you are devaluing other people to try and make yourself look better. It makes your accomplishments look smaller than they actually are, because you're having to beat up other people in order to make them look bigger. Once again, just to summarize, make sure that you're establishing crystal clear boundaries and that you're sticking to them, as well as while you're at work, you're doing efficient and quality work and that your management is seeing you work on that. But for now, that brings us to the end of today's video. If you have any questions or ideas, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed the video or you found the information useful, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It helps the channel out immensely. If you found this information useful, I would check out my other video right here where I discuss balancing shift work with a normal life. And as always, if you're interested in my more recent stuff, I will have my most recent video posted right here. Until the next video, this is the Mengineer, signing off.